Thanks for showing up today. This is something to talk about from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. And we are grateful to Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for sponsoring this program. Fieldstone offers assisted independent living and vibrant memory care up on Rolling Bay. They also have day stay, respite care programs, and more. You can come by for a tour or call 206-594-1010 or email Ashley C at fieldstonecommunities.com to schedule a tour, or visit their website, which is fieldstonecommunities.com. Also, we'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the ancestral homeland of the Puget Sound Coast Salish people. Our neighbors to the north, the Suquamish tribe, have been on these waters since time immemorial, and we honor them and are grateful for their continued stewardship. Today, we're going to talk about some bad actors, and boy, when you open up your email, they are there. And so I really appreciate Tressa taking the time. Tressa Johnson from the Kitsap Regional Library and a member of our board of directors to show us some of the examples of when things go wrong or could go wrong.
Thank you, Reed. Thanks for having me. I asked Reed if there was an opening for me to come in and talk about scams because like most everyone, I receive upwards of 50, 75 junk emails every day. And last week, I received one that was particularly upsetting to me. And I had to look at it twice, and it was purportedly from PayPal, and it had the PayPal logo. It had the same, it looked so real. And so I asked Reed if I could have a spot. And then this week, when the announcement went out, people started reaching out to me and telling me about their own experiences with spam, either via email or text or stopping by the library. And it really underscored the importance of continually talking about the scams that we're seeing, reminding each other how to spot a scam, how to respond to one, how to report a scam, how to protect ourselves, and what to do when we fall for a scam. If you haven't fallen for a scam, you are one of the few. I'm not in that group. And they are just getting so sophisticated. So what I want to do today, I'm going to talk about how to recognize some phishing scam, and then what to do, how to recognize it, what to do, how to report it, and then what to do if we think we've fallen for a scam. And I'll give you a preview. I think the most important thing that we can do if we think we see something that's spam is to talk to somebody. Call the Senior Community Center, call the library, ask your neighbor before you do any clicking. I think this is an issue we can help each other with. We can come together as a community and really help each other with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. And I want to, there we go. Okay.
Lovely.
So, pardon?
It looks clear. Thank you.
Perfect. So I wanted to first make sure that we all were on the same page in terms of the lingo here with phishing and scams. All of these scammers, what they're doing is appealing to our reptilian brains, right? They're shutting down they're literally shutting down the parts of our brains, the frontal lobe, that is able to think logically. And they do that by by using all caps. Your membership has expired. Second attempt, third attempt.
I love the reptile brain thing. It makes me think, okay, so the dinosaurs had email.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. There you go.
But yes, it's like, okay, this is serious before we danger. I mean, I know that like it happens to us even in normal procedures. Like, that you see something that says breaking news in caps. It's like, oh, what's that?
Exactly. You can really feel your heart rate go up. There's this kind of sense of urgency, and that reptilian brain, man. I try to remind myself that I have a frontal lobe. you know, you can think this through, Tressa. Think this through. So, and they do this to, as this definition says, they want to find out some personal information, social security numbers, passwords. They want to sell our information. I mean, all kinds of things. So let's look at a real world example. This is the PayPal email that I received that made my heart rate go up. So at first glance, it looks like it might be real, but it's absolutely not. I mean, it is not. So when I look more closely, I noticed that the greeting was very generic. I have a PayPal account, but this was really generic. This was saying that I owed money, which is weird because PayPal they have my credit card. I use it to pay for things. So that was a little bit strange, but it did. I mean, I think this is what makes my heart rate go up. I think I owe money, and it's quite a bit of money. So then they give me, so what do I want to do? I want to solve that problem, and I want to solve it right away because I don't like this feeling. And the worst part of this email to me is down here at the bottom. This doesn't look familiar? You think there's a problem? Click here, report the scam. And that just seems particularly evil to me. So now, and people, I mean, that's what we want to do. So let's look at a real email from PayPal. Whoops, is it not? There we go. Okay. So here is a real email from PayPal that I received, and it uses my full name. It's not my email name, T Johnson at krl.org. And sometimes I'll get emails that like, hello, T Johnson. And that is a sign for me that this is fake. And they used my full name. They also told me, this is an FYI. Hey, FYI, you paid this money to the New York Times. There's nothing to do. Done. Here are the details. Here's who was paid, when they were paid, what their contact information is. And then here's some details down here. The charge is going to appear on my credit card statement. Here's how I'll be able to recognize it. So this is in stark contrast to the fake one, right? And yet, look at how similar they are. Now, this is scary to me. If I were tired,
same typeface,
yep.
same colors, same kind of layout with a box in the middle.
Yep. I mean, it's awful. And I do, because I wanted to allow time for questions, and I wanted to make sure that I got out make sure that we clearly talked about what we can do. I have a number of examples at the very, very end of my talk that are also very important. But this is just, to me, an incredible example of just how smart they are, these criminals, and they are criminals. So how do you recognize phishing? Because you may get something from PayPal or something that claims to be Hulu or your mortgage company, your bank, your Amazon. So just sort of generally some things to be aware of. And I want to point out all of this information comes from the FTC. So there is that email at the bottom. So they'll tell us that they've noticed suspicious activity. No, they haven't. There's a problem with your account. No, there isn't. Confirm this. We need to confirm this information right now. Click this link. This invoice. Yeah.
Is there a comment?
Okay, these are, I mean, I imagine if you're like me, you have seen all of these examples.
Yep.
Right? So these are the sorts of things that they do. And every single one of these examples for me, when I read them, my heart rate goes up and, you know.
Well, especially if you own money, if you owe money. Yeah.
Yep. And I should say, yeah, this, well, let's see. Here, what to do if you think it might be a scam. Here at the bottom, never open an attachment, never click a link, never use a phone number, ever, ever. Even with that, the real PayPal example that I showed you did have some links for the New York Times. I recognize that email as credible. I no longer click those links. I just have a personal rule because I know that, you know, I know that the possibility that I'm going to click a link that I'm going to think it's real and it's not, I know there's a possibility. So I have just stopped clicking those links. I will open up an email, you know, a new email, my email account, and type in that number or, you know, put in that help@NewYorkTimes.com. But I'm certainly not going to click any link. So
if you get a link for your mortgage, you can go to the bank and log in and then print it out from there.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So two questions that are really helpful. Do you have an account with that company, or do you know the person who is claiming to contact you? So if you don't have an account with that company, likely it's not real. You want to look for the signs of a phishing attack. You want to report the message, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and delete it. You will not cause a problem by deleting the email. You just don't want to activate anything within the message itself, but you can delete it without risk. And the other, I guess, number 4 that I would add is tell people about it. I'm telling everybody about this PayPal thing. It just is so upsetting to me. And if you do have an account, or if you do know that person, contact the company from another source, which is what Reed just mentioned and I was just talking about. Look, you can call the senior community center if you need a phone number. You can call the library if you need a phone number. You can even email the library a question. It will take a while for us to get back to you, but you know, ask questions. And if you're afraid there isn't enough time before something will happen, then it's probably a phishing attack. If you think you don't have enough time, you're probably okay.
Mine, which can you hear me, Tressa?
I sure
Yes.
can.
Well, I wanted to share with people, as I shared with you, that my scam was not a message. It was my computer coming on at 2 a.m. and waking me out of a sound sleep with what I thought was the fire alarm. And I wear hearing aids, so it was loud enough to wake me. and my computer was blaring, and the message was, do not turn this off. Call Mac help. I have a Mac computer. I couldn't get it to stop. I know now that I should have shut it down, but I didn't.
Wow.
Thank you, Peggy, for sharing that example, because that is a whole nother form of attack. And the loud blaring, that message, do not turn off, it turns off your frontal lobe. I mean, it's about being human, the neuroscience of our brains, right? You want to do something immediately to solve the issue. And it's true that will not, Apple would not do that. That's just not, it's not something that would happen.
So it's okay to turn it off.
Absolutely.
I had an interesting one that I've had the last couple of days from the post office saying to me, they have a huge package that they can't deliver. Therefore, please get in touch with us so that we can deliver this package or mail or whatever. I don't expect anything coming. I'm not aware of anything coming. So I haven't done anything other than to delete the message.
Well, right. And if you wanted to, likely that is a scam. But if you wanted to, you could go down to the post office and tell them, that you received an email and you wanted to respond to it in person. Oh, why not? There are always steps that one can take.
Sure.
And it's just about reminding ourselves that.
And I'm sorry. They will also use an unusual name that is in your friendship circle. I mean, they've done that to me. So it's not Anne or Susie. It's a really unusual name, and it immediately seems real.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. So there are some things that we can do when we recognize we have a phishing email or that there's been an attack. Sheila, you deleted the email. That's great. I took a screenshot of that PayPal email and then I deleted it. The same thing. And now I have this email address, the anti-phishing working group, that I found on the FTC website, and will forward it now to this group. Now, I've been getting some text messages, interestingly, which had never happened to me before. That has begun. You can forward it to 7726. And then you can report the attempt to the FTC itself. And this is a website that you can go to and tell them that you were the target of an attempt.
Do you have this information that you have on the scheme right now? Do you have that available at the library? How can we get it? I could take a screenshot of it right now, which I might just do.
Well, we will definitely put it, if you're watching this later on YouTube, in the comment section underneath. These are very helpful. I know that there are some of the Outlook and Google have reporting mechanisms in some, but not all of their apps. But it's nice to know that there's a pretty simple way to forward this. And I know that the number of notices these people must get are overwhelming, but it's like, okay, it does feel satisfying to do something when you end up with the kind of email that you got that purports to be from PayPal or the United States Postal Service.
It really does, to take an action. it does, it feels satisfying. They must get a tremendous amount, but boy, oh boy.
I was out, I don't know how many dollars it was, a lot. Not too long ago on Christmas Eve, probably about 4 years ago. And I got this thing about my bank account. They needed money in my bank account or something like that. So what I needed to do is go and get a credit card or a store card kind of thing, like Target or something like that. And I'm reading it and I'm reading it and I'm reading it and my heart rate is going a million miles an hour, and I fell for it. And I went and got the card, the two of them, and pretty soon, then they wanted the number on the back, of course, which I gave to them. I'm so naive, honest to goodness. So anyway, I gave it to them, and then they asked for more money, of course. By this time, I'm up at my daughter's, and my granddaughter is saying, "Mimi, that's a spam. You're getting taken." So she's on the phone immediately. Of course, I can't get the money back from either one of them because they have already. They said because she reported and she talked to the people, the spam people, to the fraud people, and they said, within seconds they have that number and they've got the money. That was
So you never, I mean, I know, Sheila, you know this, but just to spell it out, you'd never, ever, ever need to pay for anything with a gift card. I mean, if somebody's asking you for a gift card, that's why they're asking you, is so they can get that money instantaneously before you can scoop it back.
Guess what, Reed? I do know it now.
Right. I know you know it. I'm just spelling it out for the purposes of this
smart.
call.
I can't believe I fell for that.
No,
Sheila,
there is no
are
relationship.
criminals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there is no
I know,
relationship
I know.
between there is no relationship between your intelligence and your vulnerability, except maybe that you're trying to figure things out, and they are spending all day trying to trick you. You are not spending all day trying to figure out how to not be tricked, and you don't want to go through life as cynical as you would have to be to never at least be confused by these people. But
Reed,
I had a happier outcome because it was the middle of the night and I gave them too much information. And when I woke up the next morning, I called my bank and I was able to stop payment. I had to change all my accounts, which was a hassle, but I did not lose the money.
really? You were
Yeah.
lucky.
That's great.
I lost the money. The
Well,
bank couldn't do anything about it. I went to the bank. I couldn't do anything about it.
well,
Can
there.
I have a question, clarify,
Yes.
like the phishing email, you said you took a screenshot of that and then sent that in. Okay, and for the spam, you can just forward, for the text rather, you can just forward that text message to, spam 7726.
Correct. So I took a screenshot of that PayPal email because I was already planning to call Reed to see if I could talk about it and share it. So that's just something I did for this talk, and I deleted it. But you can forward it to the anti-phishing working group, and you just forward it. That's it.
With a screenshot is better than forwarding it in the email that you've gotten. You don't want to forward that.
No, you can forward what they sent you.
Oh, okay.
That's
So-
not, as long, you don't want to activate anything within the email. So within what you're seeing, but it is okay to just forward it. There's no need to take a screenshot.
Okay.
Just go ahead and forward it, and that will, that is all you need to do.
one of the advantages perhaps of forwarding it is that enclosed or part of the email address is a bunch of information about how it got routed to you. And so they can open up that header and probably make more sense out of it than you or I could.
All right. I had an interesting one recently where I got an email from my bank and in reference to a check which I had written from my bank to my husband to deposit in another account. And it was just, everything looked sort of okay, but I was so paranoid about it that I didn't dare do anything. I just went to the bank and I showed him the thing and I said, is this real? What is this? And there was also within the body of that email was something about reporting it or, checking it if you wanted to. But you're right, the things are so professional looking and so good that you don't know what's real and what isn't. And it's quite frightening.
I don't have a visual example of this, but my mother, she received something in the mail, a letter in the mail that said that it was from the Census Bureau, but there was also an icon for the CDC on it, and she thought, well, that's weird. What was the census have to do with the CDC? And she opened it up and she just didn't feel very good about it. So she put it to the side. And a couple of weeks later, she got another one. Same thing, Census Bureau with the CDC icon. But she noticed that it was the opening was a little bit different. So instead of, to the resident of, it was, hello, I forget exactly what it was, but it was used different wording. So she put that one to the side and she kept it. And she ended up calling me and expressing her concern that she had been getting these and she just wasn't sure what to do. And she ended up putting them in she ended up in the end, I think, getting 4 items through the mail. And it was legitimate. She and I talked through, I got online and was looking up the CDC to see if I could find anything about the program. They wanted to visit her home and ask her questions, and there was no way she was going to respond. But they gave a name, so I was able to go to the website and find that, yes, it appears that the person with this name is works for the Census Bureau. We talked about how to tell them to stop. We talked about what if she invited them, she could sit on outside on her stoop. But what was so valuable was that for both her and me, we were able to kind of slowly go through the process of thinking about, why would somebody send this? I mean, if it was a scam, someone was investing a lot of money in a scam, which seemed also not likely, but we needed to talk it through.
Yeah, it's scary. I don't respond to anything that I don't recognize anymore.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about also what to do if you have responded. Okay, and again, this information comes from the FTC. I want to move this ribbon that I have at the top of my screen here.
I think we're seeing anything
Okay.
but the slide.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. If you think that they have, you have given them information, a social security number, an account number, anything of that type, you can go to this website, identitytheft.gov, one word, and you will be asked what kind of information it was, and they'll tell you exactly what to do to protect yourself. You can also update the computer's security software. Now, one reason, I don't know about you, but I get what feels like an inordinate amount of so many notifications to update my software. It's a little bit annoying, but part of the software updates includes security. So as the companies, the manufacturers, discover how these threats are emerging, they can update the software to help protect us. So this is a helpful thing to do, is to update the software.
How can we be sure that message is not scam?
So thank you, Peggy. That is a
Because I
great.
seem to be getting a lot of get this security, get more security.
So that is such a good question, because there are what I believe are scams from various companies, Norton, I think McAfee, or maybe they're names that are very close to the names of companies that are valid and trustworthy. And that can be scary. And what I have done, which I believe has been successful, is if it's on my computer, I actually go to, I have an Apple computer, so I know it's going to be from Apple. And I go to that website, and it will tell me if I need any updates. The other thing you can do, I know with Apple's computers, that you can have the updates run automatically so that you're not getting asked every time, which is handy. The same thing, I believe, with phones.
Yeah, and in Windows, there is a control panel which allows you to check for updates, and you can search in the taskbar at the bottom of a Windows computer update, and it will check for updates relative to the actual operating system, which is really the most vulnerable part of this. And if you're inside an application, like you're using Zoom, for example, when you try to open the Zoom program, if it needs an update, it will ask you before it opens the program. If you didn't click Zoom to open it and you get that, then that's worrisome. But if you actually are initiating the activity with an app on your computer, it's probably safe. But again, that's only probably. So it's okay to ask somebody before you do it. You can, wait till the next time that something to talk about comes on before you watch us on Zoom, and get a chance to ask somebody if this sounds like a legit update.
Yes.
Tressa, here, this is not something that is easily answered. But I think there's an underlying question here, which is at what point elders need some kind of, I don't know what to call it. I'm finding it hard to express, but it seems to me that a lot of what you're talking about requires us to be pretty compost and pretty savvy. And, if we suspect that somebody is more vulnerable for whatever reason in their aging process, it's a very touchy thing, I think, to say to somebody, you really aren't protecting yourself or can't against scammers.
That is a hard question, and Reed, you may have something to answer, to respond to that. I want to underscore that even those of us who are fairly savvy fall for these scams. So it's really an across the board. And that said, I understand your question. Which is one reason why I think that if we talk about it as a topic of what's happened to us, that makes it a little bit easier to talk about how someone else may be handling the situation. And really normalizing that this is a crime that is being committed. And so we can we can talk about, this doesn't look, do you have an account at Kohl's? Are you familiar with that? Just asking questions.
Yeah, I also think that one of the things that is good for us to do as we get older is to try to identify someone who we can count on, who is our sort of sounding board. So I know that my dad, who's 96, will often say to people, well, I'm just going to have to talk with my son about this. I'm just going to have to talk with Reed before I get back to you. Leave me your phone number or something like that. Um, and then and just get, it's like I always in life find opportunities to be humble, and it's probably something we have to get better at as we get older.
Yeah. Well, I have some other examples that I thought I would share quickly, simply because I think it's helpful so that we know what is happening out there. This is a text that I received from someone that I don't know. So that was upsetting. I had no idea that this type of scamming happened. Fortunately, I did not respond. This is another one that my application invitation didn't make sense to me. You can see at the top, it says, hi, Tressa WJ. Well, that's not my name. If you look at the from field up at the very, very top, you can see the address of the person that was sending me this email. It was clearly phishing. But boy, they give you a lot of examples. Here is one that I received. Look at this, Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Amazon founder.
That's nice. I've been waiting for her email for the senior center.
Jackpot, cha-ching. And you can see when you look closely, you can see after her name, the email address test@nero.be being sent to recipients. I mean, oof. And this is simply a shot of a Gmail opening where the first two items are ads. And then I've got these other strange emails that I don't recognize. Oh, here, these are some more. I was looking at email on my phone. And I mean, these all look so similar. So similar. The type, look at the font. I don't have, for the record, I do not have a Hulu TV membership, nor do I have a Netflix TV membership. So these were pretty easy to identify. But if I did, it would be disconcerting. And I had look, it's the biggest sale. Get your family the gift of comfort. Well, we all love our families. That might be all that oh, nope. And here I have some other potential helpful information. This is information that might be helpful to have close to your computer or in a known place in your home so that you can access it when needed. Are there any other comments or questions?
Do you respond to, you just showed a whole series of emails. Do you respond to every one of those? I mean, forward every one of those to report, or do you just delete most of them? Because you'd spend all day doing that.
Yeah, Jane, I just delete them.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, maybe I'll start forwarding one a day or something. I mean, you could spend all day. I receive sometimes 50 of these things.
Wow.
It's just, I'm not willing to spend that much time fighting this fight. But I do recognize them as criminal behavior and I delete them.
Right.
Tressa, if you get one that seems valid from a company that you know, if you respond, simply, I asked for more information, does that give them an opening into my account?
If you respond to the email, if you hit reply,
Right,
then you are telling the sender that this is a valid email address.
okay.
So that is not recommended. You can contact that organization or that person, but not through that venue, not with what you received. Either call the library and find their phone to get their phone number or their email address that way. You can ask a friend. Do not use any information that's shared with you in that email and contact them using a different venue.
One of the things that if your name is listed on the web somewhere, which likely it might be, certainly on our website, we have how to contact folks at the senior center. So my colleagues will get notes saying, this is Reed. I have a little favor to ask for you. It's a surprise. Can you go buy some gift cards? We want to give a present to somebody.
No,
know?
no, you don't do gift cards, Reed.
I-
I swear you don't. No.
Thank you. But it's like, let's just keep this on the down low. This is a secret. I want you to do me a little favor. And it looks like it comes from me. But if you hover over the address or you have the kind of visual that Tressa was showing that shows where the address was, it's from ABC123 QR. And so it's not me. But because it sounds like something that I might do, people here have actually gone so far as to call the number. Fortunately, at that point, since we all kind of work close together, they'd say, what is this about?
I think
Oh.
what I do instead is come over and see you and ask for the money in my hand.
Okay, well, that's usually I try to ask you for the money, but it'll work out.
Whatever. whatever.
One of the worst scams I've heard about is it's not an email scam, it's a phone scam. It's the one where you get a nighttime call from a grandchild in trouble.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I have a friend who got scammed badly by that. You know, is that you, Grandpa? Yes, is that you, David? So now they have the name, and yes, it's David, and they continue, and you're in jail and you need to be bailed out. It's
Yep.
It's good to know that the government will never call you about Medicare, insurance. I mean, it's actually illegal to do that. So they don't. There are some phone calls that you just and they're worrisome, of course. Remember, these are criminals who are professionals. They are really good. Yeah.
I think the one that bothered me the most was the one that happened to me, that one I was telling about, is that after I got that one and I went ahead and gave them the number and they were so pleased, and then they called me, or then they said, but we found that there's more money that really needs to be put back in your account. And I all of a sudden, ding, 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 finally hit over Marblehead Department. And I said, well, I can't do anymore. Oh, you have to do this. You have to. It was like now, and I'm not exaggerating. They were very insistent and almost to the point of being manic. And I said, well, I can't do that. So I'm hanging up. Don't hang up. That literally. So I finally hung up on him.
Yeah, that's just Sheila, I so appreciate you sharing that story. It's incredible. So here, this is the website that I was sharing where you can report.
Wow.
is there scam insurance yet?
Well,
That's
I will
interesting.
say in terms of insurance, there is during Medicare enrollment, where we see a lot of advertising that replicates what might look like a government website or advertisement, or either a print advertisement or a television site. Those are all insurance brokers. So they have, what they're trying to do is sell you their insurance, their Medicare insurance. The Washington state funds a program called the Statewide Health Insurance Benefits Advisors. These are volunteers that undergo rigorous training to know exactly what insurance policies are available. And you can, for free, sit down with them and talk about your situation. And they can help you choose the insurance coverage that will be best for your situation. And this is a taxpayer supported program.
If you would like to have a one-on-one, it's kind of crazy right now because we're in the enrollment period, and so it's difficult. There is a you can contact people on a statewide basis. Here's the phone numbers to try to get somebody on the phone. We also have a local office here. There are 2 folks working out of the Helpline House, and they schedule regular get-togethers, one-on-ones here at the Senior Center on Fridays, but you need to call Helpline House to schedule that. But they, I know, are very busy, so I don't know if they have appointments between now and the end of open enrollment. But you can definitely try to contact the state number there, 800-562-6900. Well, I think this has been very informative, and I really appreciate you calling out that PayPal, which got you on a road to repeating this information. It is worth, we do these from time to time, but it's one of these topics that is unfortunately never old, because there are fresh ways to trick us every day.
Right. That's right. Well, thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you, Tressa.